Welcome to today's BookTrib live chat with debut author Leigh Raines, New York City resident and the youngest of five rambunctious siblings. Leigh has a BA in journalism and spends most of her time writing, reviewing some of her favorite TV shows, and catering to her adorable dog Minka, who, if we're lucky, will make an appearance today. Leigh's first novel, We're All Mad Here, was just released, and we're thrilled to have her here today to talk about it. Before we get started and take your questions, I just want to remind everybody to head on over to BookTrib.com at the end of the chat, and you can enter to win a copy of her book. So let's get started. Thank you for joining us, Leigh.
Thanks for having me. And Minka already tried to make her first appearance, and she's back.
To start, can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Sure. It's about a 19-year-old girl named Jade who lives a really good life. She grew up with a great childhood. She really can't say that she wants for anything, and has an emotional breakdown at 19 just from social pressures, and also it's a hereditary thing. And it's just kind of her journey for the next year through it with her three best friends, and it's love interests and school and drama and also a lot of emotional stuff, and it just kind of follows her journey.
So where did the names of your characters come from? Now that your book is out there in the world, do you regret any of the name choices and wish you can change them?
No, I don't think so. Jade is kind of just, I thought it was a cool name, and green is my favorite color, so I just went with it. Everybody else, it's kind of weird that I named somebody Gemma because I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan, and anybody who watches that, I mean, she's like a matriarch that's crazy and also a murderer, so that doesn't really go, but I like the name anyway. And Chase, one of my friends told me when I said, what should I name, like, the main love interest, she's like, I think you should name him Chase because you're chasing him in a way. So I still like that choice.
Well, it's good that you are keeping with the decisions and not going back on your choices. So how did you come up with the title, We're All Mad Here? Were you a fan of Alice in Wonderland as a kid?
I actually wasn't really that big. This is Minka, everyone. I actually wasn't really that big of an Alice in Wonderland fan. I just am one of those people who falls into like a Tumblr hole and loves different pictures, and I saw a graphic that I thought was really cool, which inspired the cover, actually. And in the past, I kind of toyed with the idea of it being like falling down a rabbit's hole. So at one point, it was called Down the Rabbit's Hole. And, I mean, Alice in Wonderland is a trippy story. It's not your typical Disney movie. So that's kind of where I went with that.
What type of novels interest you? Are you reading anything now that you would highly recommend?
I read a lot of new adult. I read a lot of like the romance stuff because it's interesting and I like getting lost in it. But I also like reading memoirs, some nonfiction, some historical fiction, but I haven't read that in a while. Right now I usually read 2 books at once because one, I have to read before bed because otherwise if I'm reading something addicting before bed, I'll never go to sleep. So before bed, I like to read the Andy Cohen book. I think it's called The Andy Cohen Diaries. This is a new one. Most Talkative is his old one, and it's fun if you're like a Housewives fan, which I am. And I just read the Real series, or I'm in the middle of the Real series by Katie Evans, which is pretty good. It's interesting, and actually there is an aspect of like a mental disorder in there that I am very drawn to.
Oh,
not to spoil it.
Spoiler alert. So have you read any of your reviews? And if so, what did you think about the initial response to We're All Mad Here?
I haven't read any today just because I have not been home until this chat. But some of the other ones, I was surprised in a good way because obviously not a lot of people, I mean, there's a ton of people who aren't going to like the whole setting of it, the vehicle of it, which is Greek life. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people who are anti-Greek life. I was until I was in it, and I still see how a lot of people are. You know, it's either for you or it's not, whatever.
Yeah.
But somebody was saying, like, you know, all the characters are very superficial and blah, 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 but, like, they related to the emotional problems of the character and her family relationships and things like that. and that, like, even though the vehicle wasn't their favorite, that was their word, not mine, wasn't their favorite thing, like the setting and everything, like they related a lot to the girl. And that's really the whole point for me. So the whole point is, like, you could be in a world that people think is like great and golden and whatever, and you could still be just as messed up as the next person. So
yeah. And now, did that kind of deter you from moving forward? Did you get kind of self-conscious that people were, saying these things that might have not been a good response to the book?
no, because people are gonna. I write TV reviews for a living, and there are people who argue all the time, especially if you do shows like one of the shows I cover is The Vampire Diaries, and we get very, very aggressive, intense fans who will argue with every word that you say.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, I never thought that would be like a good kind of background to have, but it is. So, there are people who are not going to like it. It's part of life. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. The only thing is, and I have friends who went through this, there are people who make their lives about like trolling authors and basically catfishing them and being mean just because they're bored. And I think that's pretty pathetic, but
yeah. And that kind of brings me to the next question of wherever it is. If you've received any weird messages on Twitter or Facebook or on your reviews that caught your eye, and that can kind of stem into also how you do, TV reviews.
I don't think so yet. I don't think. Somebody wrote me a weird Twitter message, but it wasn't really
related
to the book. And sometimes I get people arguing with me about shows, but like
the crazy fangirls and fanboys.
It's really just, it's like, do I like Damon and Elena together or Stefan and Elena together? And they're all fictional, so it really doesn't matter.
No, right? So how many book cover designs did you go through before you got to the final product? Did you have a lot of creative input in those designs?
I sent Dion a photo I found on Tumblr. Dion's my publisher. And I sent her a photo that I found on Tumblr, the Alice in Wonderland one, and I said, I really like this idea, except she's blonde, let's make her dark-haired. The character is supposed to have reddish dark hair. And let's make her more college, not with the Alice, like apron that she wears.
Yeah.
Let's update her. And so she sent me a bunch of different ones. Some of them were just graphic. Some of them were more proper looking. And I was like, no, she's a mess. This girl's a mess. You can't have a proper girl drinking a cup of tea. So there were probably like 10 to 15 that she sent me.
Oh, wow. And how did you kind of
I had a pretty clear vision.
Yeah, and how was the process? Like, was it hard? Like, did it come down to, like, 3 that you just really couldn't decide, and then you finally made the decision?
No, I had a pretty clear vision, and she was really on board with it. There's some stuff with formatting and, like, where you want your name placed and stuff that are just really small details that you don't even realize there are a million options. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I can't even tell the difference between these, 14 that you just sent me. So...
So how important do you think it is to have a support system when you're dealing with things like anxiety and depression?
I think it's the most important thing.
And what advice would you give people who might not have that type of support system?
I think it's hard to open up and trust people, but ultimately you kind of... You really would be surprised. She's surprised in the beginning because her parents make it out to be such a stigma. And then, as she goes back to school, she realizes, wait, there are so many other people who are just like me. So I think it's really important. And I think you find support in places that surprise you. Definitely. So don't rule out people just yet, and also don't be afraid to ask somebody for help, and don't be, stuff like that.
That's true. And now the book has been hailed as a story that is strongly relatable. Did you set out to write a book that would resonate with many, or did you just have a story to tell and you told it?
Originally, I just had a story to tell and I told it, and then I said, I wish that when I went through having my own anxiety and depression, which I still deal with today, having a little anxiety right now, I said I wish that I there was a book out there, because this was 10 years ago. I wish there were like more books. There was really just Prozac Nation, and that is a very dark book. It's great, but it's very dark. And I said, I wish there was something more relatable, and maybe I can take this story and kind of make it more interesting, make it a story people would want to read. I think a lot of people, especially in our generation, deal with these issues, and I think it's important to, I'm always happy when I come across, like, J.A. Redmersky, she wrote The Edge of Never. She came out with a book called Song of the Fireflies, and there was a similar issue in it, and I thought it was dealt with, like, very, very well.
Yeah. Now, this is a good question. If We're All Mad Here was turned into a TV series, which actress would you want to play Jade?
She's so hard to cast. There's a part in the book where somebody tells her she looks like Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars. But there's a new girl out there who is in The Giver. Her name's, I hope I'm saying it right, Odeya Rush. She's really cute.
Oh, yeah.
I like her a lot for her. But also The Friends. I've thought about The Friends a lot, and Holland Roden is my girl crush, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I would want her to play Charlie for sure.
That'd be awesome.
And Danielle Campbell from the originals, I would want to play Ella. I haven't picked the boys. I haven't picked Chase yet, but I've picked some of the other, like Colton Hayes, I would want to play Will.
So someone said you review shows. What are some of your favorite ones, and do you have any guilty TV pleasures?
My TV interests range from what a preteen should be. I do enjoy what I watch with my nephews, but I do a lot of ABC Family, and I did do a lot of CW, but before superheroes. My favorite shows of all time are Friday Night Lights, which could not be less similar to my life. I think it's one of the most well-done shows, and I recommend everybody watches it. And One Tree Hill, don't even laugh at me, is the most amazing show. I just finished Sons of Anarchy, and I'm still not over it. So I kind of range. I just also finished Teen Wolf, and I love that. So for me, I go, and coming up in January, I'll be reviewing Girls again, which is Lena Dunham really is a relatable character to Jade. A little different.
Just a little bit.
And Shameless is very good.
Oh, I can't wait for that to come back.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you felt like you wouldn't get the book done, and what pushed you to keep going?
Well, yeah, there's definitely times I've rewritten it so many times. I've rewritten it for the past 5 years I've spent, or 4 years. I think the first half took me a lot longer to write, and then the second half was a lot more fun. And I just wanted to, finish it. You want to accomplish something. It's like, I've worked on this for so long, let's sum it up. Let's wrap it up. It kind of deserves an ending. And it had a cliffhanger ending. And then I decided it needed a happy ending, even if it was cheesy.
Yeah.
Which someone said, but I was like, yeah, but people want a happy ending.
Yeah, they do. So what book category do you believe We're All Mad Here falls under?
New adult. It's a little racier than YA, but there are a lot of YA that people are doing, darker, racier YA, but I would say new adult, which didn't exist when I first wrote this.
No. It's definitely evolved, I think. If writing was no longer an option, what would you choose to do?
I would want to be I would either want to do something in philanthropy in that field, or I would want to be a therapist. But a sex therapist is what all my friends used to tell me that I should be. That is a true story, and I know some of them are watching this right now. Shut up. The dog is barking.
So
I would not be a dog trainer.
No. Oh, that'd be nice. What do you think makes your book different from other stories out there?
It's realistic. It's very realistic. It's just, I will tell you one thing, the sex scenes that are out there right now, I have never in my life met somebody who has lost their virginity and had had an orgasm from losing their virginity. Every sex scene, everything I read today is so just everything goes so well. I'm like, no, everybody I know has really embarrassing, funny, like messy stories. And so none of that was, I wanted to make that clear. Especially
Yeah,
when you're in college, like you're a walking disaster in college.
this is true.
So,
So someone says, "We're all mad. Here's your debut novel. How did you feel on release day?
very stressed out.
Are you still stressed out?"
Am I still yes, I am still stressed out. It didn't really feel real until like late last night probably. And then I was like, "Oh, wait. It doesn't even feel real now."
No?
Feels like I'm just talking. No, I mean, it's it's a crazy feeling. It is very surreal and it's very just shocking and
Do you think it's like a humbling experience, or do you think that, like now that it's out there, your life is, going to change and go into like a different direction?
no. I mean, who knows where this will go? Honestly, I expect nothing and hope for everything. I think that's the best thing you can do. And I mean, yeah, I guess it's a little humbling, but yeah.
Has your journalism degree helped prepare you to write this debut novel? Do you think it's hurt you at all during the writing process?
I don't think it did all that much, probably because, well, I mean, it did just because you have little like editing tips that are ingrained in your mind that you learn from all of your classes and just the way like you're supposed to show more than you tell. But I used to be told in reporting class all the time that I put my opinion too much into my articles. When you're reporting, you're supposed to just give the facts straight. So I think that's where I knew I definitely wouldn't be working for a newspaper. I would definitely be working for something more op-ed, which
Yeah.
I do. And then the book was always just like a side project. It was never my main job. So
Now, what are 3 facts about you that may surprise readers?
um 3 facts about me that's I'm like an open book. So 3 facts about me that are surprising. I'm terrible at sports, but also very flexible and good at yoga, so go figure. I was, contrary to Jade, I was absolutely not a mistake. Positive that I was not. I'm the product of actually 2 half siblings from my mom, 2 half siblings from my dad. They divorced, they met, got married, had me, so I'm the love child.
Oh.
And third surprising fact about me, I hate avocados and guacamole. Like everybody loves that.
Debatable, I think. Have the similarities in your book to your own experiences prompted any friends or family members to call you out?
Hey, I wonder if that was a personal question. Um, well, everything is inspired by life situationally, but all the characters themselves are completely different than anybody I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a little bit, but not really. This, everybody was told beforehand that it's fiction and it's inspired by some real life situations, but it's not about anybody's personality, especially not negatively. And a
Yeah.
lot of my friends read drafts, so, and my family.
Somebody
Like, I'm one
said,
of those people who bounces ideas off of everybody.
well, yeah, I mean, it's good to get your opinions from other people. This is, did you do the night reading with flashlights because the regular lights had to be out? I did that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like I had a bedtime.
Yes.
I had a bedtime, and like instead of like sneaking downstairs to watch TV, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like the nerd that was reading, like Babysitter's Club, totally reading Babysitter's Club.
To get this question out there, will there be a follow-up to We're All Mad Here, or do you have another story in mind for your next book?
Yes, I would want there to be a spin-off on each of the 4 main girls. And I already started Ella's story from a short story I wrote in college, but it's Actually, my mom was helping me think of brainstorm with it, but it's like only like 30 or 40 pages that I've written about it so far.
And now, do you think, like, if you had to, like, step outside of, you being the author of the book, what would you compare your novel to? Like, if it were, a movie or some sort of genre that you are drawn to, what would you compare it to?
Like another movie or show or book, you mean?
Yeah.
Girls, a little bit, which somebody told me in a creative writing class that I took. Somebody also said Gossip Girl, but like in a really sensationalized way, not the deep stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was funny for me to hear because I used to cover it for work. And I would say it's old, and I don't know if a lot of people read it, and it's about Hollywood, but Valley of the Dolls, which is one of my favorite books.
Oh. Now, do you have a special place that you like to go to write, or a place that really inspires you?
I actually get inspired really like in the middle of the night a lot, and I just bring my laptop anywhere. I write in bed a lot, actually, which my boyfriend definitely hates, but.
And now, if you're out in public or something, do you, whip out your iPhone or your notepad and just jot things down and then visit it later, or you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I write stuff in my phone all the time. Like if I hear a funny comment or I have a thought about something, I'll put it in my phone. And my friends say a lot of really pretty funny stuff that has made their way. There's a lot of little shout outs to all my friends that have made their way in.
Definitely. So do you think social media has helped you to connect with potential readers and help get the word out about your debut novel? And what sites do you use the most?
I think Twitter, definitely, and also Facebook, surprisingly. There's a lot of new stuff I just don't know as well. This is like where my publisher comes in. She knows everything.
Shout out.
I think social media has 100% changed the game for everybody because most of the people I read are indie authors, and a lot of people self-publish. And if you look at books like, I don't want to use it as an example, but 50 Shades of Grey was self-published. It was fan fiction, and then it was self-published, and now she's like a multimillionaire. So it's just people in the reading community, they want something different, and they don't want to go to Barnes & Noble and pay like X amount of money, and there's just, I think social media has completely done a 180 on the publishing world.
No, definitely.
Bad for old, grade publishing, and great for, new self-publishing.
Yeah, the game is definitely changing. Would you say that Jade is your favorite character?
No, I kind of love them all equally, like they're my children. I think she's complicated and she's very like selfish at times, but I think that's what makes her a real person.
Yeah.
I think my favorite character, I don't know, Gemma and Charlie are like a real toss-up for me.
And I mean, you spend so much time writing this and, with these characters, did you feel like a sense of loss, or were you sad when you were like finally done with it and you're like, I miss them, I need to write more?
Well, I hope to continue with them in 3 more, if possible. So, you want to get to know each one of them even more, all the angles that you didn't read about them in this book, if there were to be a spin-off about each of the other girls.
And now,
Bella I made very quiet and very mysterious, so you don't know there's so much about her and her background that's not in this book.
No, that's true. And now, do you have a time frame of like a deadline for yourself of how you see it playing out with all of the books, the spin-off books?
I don't want to take that long with it, and I don't think it'll take as long as the first one, just because the first one is the first one. So hopefully within a year.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
The first one, I didn't know if I was ever going to do anything with it. So.
And now, do you have any other stories kind of like in your sock drawer that you started and you kind of never finished with, or anything like that, or no?
I actually always wanted to write a story about my parents and the way they met, because there's a really unique story behind it, that they met decades before when they were both, before my mom was married, my dad was married, like they had met one time and they figured it out years later when they were living together because my dad is a hoarder and keeps receipts. And I just think they have a unique story about each coming to the relationship with 2 kids, and it's a love story that I kind of want to pay to them.
Oh, wow. That'd be interesting. That's definitely something to keep in the back of your mind. It says you graduated with a BA in journalism, and you review TV shows for some well-known entertainment sites. Were you always drawn to this world?
I think so, unknowingly. In high school, I always took like creative writing classes as like an elective when we were allowed to, and I did internships. I did one for Oxygen TV and in high school before senior year, and I did one for like a government office in the media department, like the PR department. It was always like on the border of like PR and journalism, but PR is like a super aggressive different world.
Yeah.
I just like writing better. So.
Let's see. So we kind of touched a little bit about how long it took to write the book, but do you have any words of advice for other aspiring authors?
Edit until your eyes are bleeding, basically. Just keep rewriting it and editing it until you're sick of looking at it, and then edit it again. Pretty much.
And now did you...
And don't ever start at the beginning. Just start wherever you're thinking. Wherever your thought process takes you, just start there, because it's not...
and that kind of...
You never want to start a story at the beginning.
That kind of brings me to like a separate question, but like what was your writing process like? Did you outline anything, or did you have like key points where you wanted to hit, or did you just kind of just get in there and just start writing and then just see if it came together?
There was an outline eventually. I don't even fully remember. This has been so many years. I think I just started at a certain point writing about certain things, and then I outlined them in 2 halves. Like one is kind of like her downfall, and one is her coming, back up in her life and like making sense of things. But yeah, an outline was helpful for sure. And then you can cut things out and add new things in. And then I had my beta readers read it and say like, you needed to add stuff to this part. You need to make this person more interesting. Like take some stuff out about this. You don't need it. So.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite book to movie adaptation?
I think most times books are a lot better than the movies, which make it hard. But I think the one or two times that I've seen like a movie that's better than a book, I think The Devil Wears Prada, because you have Meryl Streep, and there's really, you're obviously just winning if you're doing that. And I love that. I personally like that movie better probably just because of Meryl. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm like trying to glance at my bookshelf right now to see what other. I didn't read Gone Girl, but I love the movie. So.
Will you be seeing 50 Shades of Grey?
Obviously. No shame, I will.
Nope. Okay, so I have one last question for you, and I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, yes, it might be a little difficult, but we're going to try. If you could only describe your book to readers in one word, what would it be?
Complicated.
What did you do? You just quick. You just drew that out there. We're heading to the end of the chat, and I just wanted, obviously, to thank everybody for coming, and you as well. Can you tell us where we can find you on Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff, and where we can get your book?
Facebook is under author Leigh Raines. Twitter is under It's Leigh Raines, LeighRaines. And the Tumblr is just LeighRaines.tumblr.com. And Goodreads, I'm on Goodreads, and Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords. Definitely go to my Twitter and Pen Name Publishing, and French Press Bookworks, and they'll give you all the info.
Wonderful.
About where to find everything.
So thanks so much for coming. I just want to remind readers to go to BookTrib.com and enter to win a copy of this book. And I guess that's it. Do you have anything else to conclude?
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And bye, Minka. Nice seeing you.
She's here.
I know.
She says bye also.
Your ears are so cute.
Her little pointy ears.
But thank you again, Leigh, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon.
Thanks, Mackenzie.
Bye.